we discovered Beacon Hill Fort, a little known relic of the Dark Age long ago. Ravished by time and neglect, we joined the newfound owners who have recently uptaken this endeavour to restore the passion and pride of Harwich.
My name's Paul Valentine. I'm one of the partners that purchased Beacon Hill Fort this year in January. It originally was built back in the 1880s as a gun emplacement to protect the Harwich harbour of ships and submarines coming in from the North Sea, basically. That was its main function, was just to protect the incoming ships. Originally the main problem was to slow down the amount of break-ins because it was very poorly secure before, with many breaches in the fence. But that's subsided somewhat since now the fences are all in place, basically. Many of the obstacles was trying to get through red tape with all the things associated to the fort. The fort's an ancient scheduled monument, so you will find that even spray painting, any sort of graffiti, is an actual criminal offence. So anything we try to do, even if we need to want to cut some bushes and trees down and stuff like that, well, you need permission for a historic England. The main problem, as usually is in this type of thing, is the local council has been difficult to get on with because they currently own the perimeter. The perimeter was given to the council back in the 70s by the MOD. Sounds a bit corny. It's listening to people's stories of how they're associated to here and their experiences of, because this has been decommissioned since the 50s. It was left virtually unattended till the 70s when it was sold off by the MOD. The MOD sold it to an Italian family called the Bertorellis. They bought the main sort of 4 acres that's in the middle, and as I said before, the council actually own the 1.5 acres of just the perimeter. Varies a lot just with the weather, basically. On a really good day you can easily get a couple of 100 people through the door that are just coming to visit the site as a historical site. We've held a couple of small events like a treasure hunt, and they've gone up to 400 on those sort of nights when we've done things like that. That'd be more of the things we'll be doing in the future, is that sort of thing. As we come into winter, during the week is only sort of 3 to 5 people a day, but at weekends you're still getting between, depending on the weather, between 50 to 150 a day, because during the winter we're the only ones that are open. All the rest of the historic sites are run by volunteers.
My name is Kevin and I've been here since April of this year. And the main areas I've worked on is the World War I / World War II gun emplacement halfway up, and we uncovered the mechanism that would have brought up the powder packs to fire the gun. I spent hours scrubbing that carefully with a fine brush and very small trowel so I didn't break anything. And as you go into the tunnels, you can actually find the base of it, which has still got the ratchet handle for it to be ratcheted up to the top. So we cleared all that and opened all that up and defined the whole area. And then I started working on the engineer's tunnel. When I was clearing out one of the sumps down there, on one of our maps, to the back of it, it's a curved area. You've got all these little holes going all the way to the top, which on the actual blueprint shows a ladder. I found the runs to the ladder, sidestepped up all the way, and they were about that far apart. And this is the only one that has still got the screws through it that would have gone into the wall. And that would have gone all the way up to the very top, and it's probably about, it's nearly 24 foot, just over in height completely. Also, while I was working there, I came across this lovely object, which is cast iron, as it's rusted now, but that would have hinged. That would have locked a door. Through here would have been a bolt going into the door. So it would have worked like that. So on this door, you've had a little cradle coming up that way. On this side, a cradle coming down the other way. So that would have swung shut into it, and that would have flipped over into a loop for a padlock to go on it. So it was completely locked, and that would have come out of one of the magazine areas, so you could keep it locked at all time. This lovely, weird and wonderful object, you can see it's shaped, but obviously been broken off here. And that I found up by the flagpole when I was clearing the mound up there. I found 3 of the 4 tension lines, the bases for them, which are concrete blocks with a little loop on it, which they would have had tension wires on it to keep the flagpole up. The flagpole was about 200 feet in height. On here would have been a bit more metalwork with a loop on top of that as well. This would have been a secondary tension line holder. This would have been bashed into the ground because of the weight of it, and they would have had quite a few of them around further down the flagpole to keep that all secure there.
We've got probably about 200 volunteers. On our Facebook page, we've got 2,000 followers. I think it might be closer to 2,500. It just shows you how many young people do come. We've got like 500-600 people that have checked in on the site when they've been here, because normally it's only young people that would do that more than old timers like me, although I do check in when I go places. I think so. Some of the history that the world wars, I think, doesn't really fit with the young people's mindset, because the only thing they've ever known through their life is war in the East type thing. So I don't think they're going to have the attachment that maybe the previous generation did, where their parents were in the World War II. It might be that some of your grandparents would have been in World War II, but the interest is waning on that side. But when you think that this place has been possibly explorable since the 70s, there's a lot of history here from the locals, where they spent all their summer holidays over here as kids. They would come over here and have barbecues. They even had raves down in the tunnels back in the 80s and 90s. So there's a lot of history there that I think people do like. We even did a t-shirt with saying, you know, my life was in the Dubs. Now this is just me personally, and what I've got fed off from the people that come through the gate, even from the tendering council. Some of the executive board have been here, and they've been very supportive on seeing this working for Harwich and for tourism. If I have my chance of doing exactly what I want to see a bit more stuff like activities here that you would come every week to do, something like Go Ape that you've got at Thetford Forest. If you had all your zip wires and your cargo netting all around these areas, it would get families back quite regular, where if you had it just as a museum piece, you'd come once, maybe twice, and then it drops off your radar because you think you've seen it all. So you need to recreate interest almost on a monthly basis. Some other things like summer festivals. There's a small village down the road called Rabfest, where they have music festivals there, and they have different stages. And these gun emplacements make fantastic stages. So you could have country and western playing here, some hillbilly music, and then the next one you could have, you know, a heavy bass stuff. You could quite easily do that with the sound walls that it's got without affecting each other or our residents around us. There's other things that we're looking forward to. We're hoping to have a skill centre here, where things like trying to recycle, say, glass bottles. When you're trying to do that, there's plenty of craft work you could do with those to turn them into lights. You can turn them into wind chimes. So if you have little workshops, especially for people that possibly even been in the forces and then have had a mental problem since coming back, things like getting to know craft, even especially in a military area like this, brings them back into the real world. Also, this place never had one shell or bomb ever dropped on it in 2 world wars, and it never actually fired won in fury in either world wars. This was mainly a research and development centre. They would get in the newly designed guns, test them. Once they got them to work correctly, they would get people in to train. Then they would actually go and fit these type of guns all around the Commonwealth, not just England, but the Commonwealth. So the DNA of this place was always research and development. And that's, I think, how we want to portray it in the future, is not a war machine, but more of a research and development. Because this was the first place outside of London to ever have electricity, and it was run by a steam generator back in the 1880s. This was the first place to have telephone outside London. It had the first telephone exchange, again, outside London. So there's a lot of DNA that's come from here, and that's what we need to go, the DNA of research and development. We've spoken to the local schools. We're going to convert one of the generator stations into a classroom. We're going to have all the renewable energies like your wind, your solar, hopefully maybe even tide, something like that here, so we can explain to the students when they come how all that renewable energy is harnessed and how it's used. And it's all those energy companies that will display their type of workings here, and the children can learn in the classroom. I would always say to them, follow us on Facebook, because social media is one that drives the interest, and that you can show that to the people that control the red tape to get things done. So we're hoping many changes will come here in the future, and then that families can have a good experience. Once me and Barry, because we're both quite mature in our years, we've given ourselves 5 years to get this place actually breaking even, so that we can hand it back to the Harwich people within a trust. It's going to be the younger generation that needs to take it forward past our ideas, especially the ones I've sort of said today. They need to sort of put them in practice. I'm hoping that we'll get people coming back through the door frequently just to see what's going on, to learn the new ideas that we've had, and just participate in what's going on here. And then maybe we'll have a venue that will create tourism for the future, so that this area doesn't get left out in the cold. We've got a lot of maritime history and war history here. We just need to hold them here by being open 7 days a week, all through the year, to have something that people want to come when they get here.
We uncovered the damaged relic, lost to the imposing winds of time, witnessed with our own eyes and ears the pure transformation of the site, thanks to the owners and the passionate team of volunteers.